Hey folks, welcome to the Pokemon Sun and Moon Special Demo Edition. This, I have to say, is post-commentary, and I apologize for that. I thought I had some really great things to say in my live commentary, but unfortunately, I made a technical error, and it didn't get recorded. And then I made another technical error, and my re-recording of the commentary didn't get recorded, and I swear to God, if I lose this commentary too, I'm going to break something. Anyway, so this demo here, it is here basically to introduce you to some of the main mechanics of the game. Some of the new additions, some of the UI changes, some of the major characters, and then also to provide you with a cool thing, notably a cool Greninja with special powers that we received via snail mail, which I think is an inhumane way to transport Pokemon, if you ask me. But I wouldn't put it past the person who owns this Pokemon to do such a thing. So, yeah, Sun and Moon. I'm sure that most of you watching are already basically up to date, or even more up to date than I am on the Sun and Moon news. Apparently, of course, as soon as this demo was released, it was data mined, and now the entire Pokedex is known. I haven't looked into that, and I am going to try to not look into that. You know, if anything pops up on my Twitter stream, you know, there's not much I can do about that, and I'm not quitting Twitter for a month. But I'm not going to deliberately seek out that information just so I can be a little bit surprised. Anyway, we are, in this demo, Sun, a boy, you're forced as a boy, who just recently moved from Kanto here to the Alola region. And this is the part where I start looking around and looking at the walk animation, which I think looks really dorky, honestly. And looking at the new proportions of the characters, which are now taller and less chibi. You can see a lot more detail on the clothing for these models than you could in X and Y. Which is a good thing in my book, because I love the clothing mechanics in the game. But god, this walk animation looks super dorky. Super dorky. It looks like someone trying to imitate the Bigfoot photo. Running animation looks a little better. There is a skip in your step. Looks pretty decent. This here is How. How is your rival? And we only get a little sense of what he's like. He seems like a pretty chill dude. One of his favorite poses is that kind of hands behind his head, leaning back a little bit, smiling. My concern is that, if he's just perfect and nice all the time, he'll be really boring. We'll have to see how that develops in the full game. So there are two main portions of the demo here. There's an opportunity to kind of run around town, talk to NPCs, look at some of the different buildings, and get a sense of what the town is like. And then there is a combat part of the demo, which has you battling Pokemon and battling trainers. Anyway, I talked to most of the NPCs in town. I think I miss a couple here here in the town. I think I catch them in the second part of this video, which I think might be like a second episode that I upload later in the week. Once you complete the demo, there is more you can do. So I do have that with live commentary. And that, I think, catches all the NPCs that I missed. But I do a pretty good job of talking to people. Nobody says anything groundbreaking. Also, you can't sit in these seats, and it is a travesty. Game Freak should be ashamed. 2 out of 10. will not buy the full version. Anyway, let's why don't we get out of here? I think I was appreciating the music or something here. Let's get out of here past me. Get out of here. Leave. Oh my god, are we good? Yes, okay, we're good. I don't know what I was doing. Anyway, as soon as we pop out here, we will be introduced to some pretty important characters in the story of the game. Team Skull. So Team Skull is, they are an evil team like many others, and they're skull-themed. And the great thing about Team Skull, you'll see in just a sec, is that they dance all the frickin' time. They're just gesticulating wildly, making all sorts of cool poses, and I don't really understand why, but I am not complaining. I love it. Gives them a lot of energy and makes them distinct from other NPCs. And of course, they synchronized, which is important. Alright, so this, obviously, it's the first battle in the demo, so it's going to be pretty easy. All the battles in the demo are pretty easy, to be honest. It's a Yungoos. Yungoos is, I think, like the Rattata equivalent for this game, even though we have Rattata in this game, but an early route normal. Anyway, if you'll direct your attention to the bottom screen, which for entirely your benefit and not so that I can avoid editing, is visible simultaneously with the top screen. The bottom screen's been rearranged a little bit. In Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, and then all the DS and 3DS games since then, you had Fight front and center, and then Pokemon, Bag, and Run were along the bottom. That has now changed. Now Fight is on the right, as are all of the moves, which I think is to the benefit of people who are right-handed, who might want to just barely move their thumb in order to select the most common options. So it's good for me. Not so good for left-handed people. It's probably going to take some adjustment for me, just so I have to retrain my muscle memory. And then going back to older games, I imagine, might be a little tricky too. Anyway, other thing about Team Skull, they tell skull jokes. It's freaking awesome. They tickle my funny bone. Anyway, they're out of there. Nothing too dangerous. If you can't win with Greninja against a Yungoos, I don't know what to call you. Bad at Pokemon, maybe? Anyway, we'll meet Hao at the Pokemon Center, but there is some other stuff in town that we can look around at. We can also take a look at our Pokemon in our bag. I don't know what's going to be on the bottom screen most of the time, because I did have to press a button to bring that menu up. But anyway, this Greninja, the original trainer is some person named Ash. I don't know who that is. Has a pretty decent moveset, double team if you really want to spam things. Met in the Kalos region. I was watching the anime the other day, actually. Apparently it's pronounced Kalos, which is gross and terrible, and I hate it, and I refuse. It's got a ribbon. And the stats up there, I don't know if that's the EV distribution, or it's just kind of a visual representation of what it's good at. I think it might just be a representation of what it's good at. This Greninja also has the Battle Bond ability, which is special for this Greninja. Normally Greninja will not have it. We will see that in action towards the end of this video. We also don't have anything in our bag, I don't think. No. Okay. So let's take a tour around, gosh, I don't remember what the city is called. Haoli, thank you. Thank you for saving me from my own embarrassment, NPC man. So there's this Malasada's place. An interesting inclusion. So before I recorded this, I actually didn't know what a malasada was. It was food, I assumed, but I didn't know if it was like I had no idea. It sounded almost like some sort of thing you would get at a taco stand, but then I looked it up and revealed how dumb I am, how much of a dumb American I am who doesn't understand food from other cultures. It's actually a Portuguese confection. It's kind of like a Portuguese donut. I don't know why it's here in what is ostensibly a Hawaiian-themed region. Maybe the Portuguese have a connection to Hawaii that I'm not aware of. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, this Machamp, I don't know what it's doing. Maybe it's preparing the land for a building. Couldn't tell you. There's a police officer, police station, I should say. Police officers who hang out at the police station in their spare time, and also at work. I don't know, for some reason, this struck me as, like, weird. It was like, huh, we've had police officers before in Johto, and maybe Sinnoh too? I remember Johto. But for some reason, the idea of a police station struck me as really weird. I don't know. I'm fine with it. It's just like, oh, I didn't expect that. Anyway, their mascot is a Granbull, and it's known for scary face. I really have to wonder about what kind of message the police force is communicating to its citizens if its mascot is known for being scary. I think that just feeds the toxic relationship that a lot of people have with police officers. We cannot go through there until we visit the Pokemon Center. I think that's just a shortcut through town, honestly. So, and if you listen carefully, there are the cries of wild Pokemon. So I think if you're in an area with tall grass where wild Pokemon can appear, you will hear the cries of a certain Pokemon there, which was a mechanic in 3rd gen, I believe. I don't know if it was in any other generations. But so it started off as like, oh, that's neat. That's a nice little way of creating ambiance. It gets really annoying for me by the end. It ruins the dramatic tension of certain cutscenes because it goes on during cutscenes as well. Anyway, I'll point that out when it comes to it. There's a ferry terminal. It's not usable right now, as you might expect. It's a way of getting from island to island without even needing a Pokemon. What is the world coming to when people can operate independently of Pokemon? So, what I'm really hoping for, my hopes aren't that high, but I'm really hoping that the fairy looks like a fairy-type Pokemon. I don't know what fairy-type Pokemon, maybe an Azumarill, but I want the fairy to be a fairy, and not just like a Lapras or something. That'd be super boring. Anyway, I think this is the part where I run around in circles for a little while and don't really do much of interest. It's a frickin' Pokemon. I guess there are wild Pokemon here in town, in Haoli, which I keep forgetting seconds before the name of the town pops up. Anyway, Oh yeah, I was noticing the camera. It's at kind of a diagonal here, which I think is a good way of making an otherwise pretty straightforward town layout a little more exciting. Just because diagonals are more interesting than horizontals and verticals. But it does mean those buildings at the bottom, no access to them, which was a little weird and disappointing. There's a building back there that we cannot get to. I'm sure we'll be able to explore it in the full game. There's our Pokemon Center. We don't have to go in just yet. Man, that place looks really nice. So the combat area of the demo, which I mentioned earlier, is 10 Cara Hill. It's past this man here. We do need to talk to Hao in the Pokemon Center before we can go, though. Because I guess they want to introduce the idea of Pokemon Centers to people who are not familiar with their ilk. So over here, we've got something I'm really excited for. A couple things I'm really excited for. This here is a hair salon. It looks like there's scissors up top. So a place for haircuts. And then, even more important, clothing shop. If you've been watching my Y series, which you should totally watch, you know I love me some fashion. And I'm so glad it's back for 7th gen. It is this complete without irony, without exaggeration. I think clothing is the best mechanical addition to the games that have been added to the games. Period. I genuinely think it is a fantastic addition that I care about more than Mega Evolutions, more than the fairy type. I care about fashion. Anyway, I actually miss a small portion of the town, but in the follow-up episode to this, where I do the post-main game demo section of the demo, I will go down there and talk to NPCs and see what's up. So don't worry about that. Anyway, Hao here provides us with a super potion, very courteous. And then he will just chill out until you decide to go to 10 Cara Hill. Okay, so this is something I'm really interested in. There's a cafe in the Pokemon Center now. I don't know what's up with that. This lady makes a comment, oh, the real owner is gone and will be back in a month, which I assume means that they'll be back for the actual version of the game. Why are they being so secretive about the identity of the owner? Why not? I mean, for the mart, they're like, sorry, we're out of stock. Couldn't they, for the cafe, if they weren't trying to hide anything, they could have just said, oh, we're out of beans, or our blender is broken, or something like that. But they're hiding something, and I don't know why. I'm super suspicious. I want to know what's going on with the cafe. Anyway, so that wraps up the Pokemon Center, and now we have a new prominent NPC, Professor Kukui. Now, I have mixed feelings on Professor Kukui. There are things about him that are wonderful, and there's one thing about him that I just cannot forgive. So, the positive thing is that he's shirtless. And that is always good in my book. I'm very happy that he is shirtless. But his pants are awful. They're like sweat shorts that go past the knees. Sweat capris. They're garbage. They're absolute garbage. They're the worst pants I've ever seen. Actually, that's a lie. I've seen some terrible pants, but they're awful pants. And, I mean, it's more of an excuse for me to look up at his torso rather than at his legs, which is, you know, beneficial, looking at this man's torso. Very, very good. Good for your mental health, I think. God, what terrible pants. Anyway, he's inviting us to go engage in a trial. And the trials are... They're totally not gyms, guys. They're totally different. They're not gyms at all. Don't even imply that they're even remotely similar to gyms, because they're not. But yeah, that moves us into the combat section of the demo. Let's head up to 10 Carat Hill, sorry. So that's a very nice opening camera angle. You can see all the way down the route, all the way to that cave that we're going to be entering later. We've got big rocks, we've got grass, we've got people hanging out. What more could you possibly want? We've got bright sun. I think they do a really good job with the lighting, actually, of the bright sun. So that's a Rock Smash Rock. Stay tuned for the second episode of my demo coverage to see what's behind that, or play the demo for yourself, fine. Whatever. Live your own life. Let's take our first step into tall grass. I'm so excited, you guys. What are you waiting for, Past Self? Come on. Oh, I think I was trying to sneak or something. Anyway, first step into the grass, wild encounter, makes sense. It is a Pikipek. So, Pikipek is a normal flying, I think it's normal flying. And it's the Pidgey of this generation. It's the early route bird Pokemon. But I actually, over the course of playing this demo, and especially in my second episode, which I'm doing a lot of build-up to for some reason, I really, really dig Pikipek now, much more than I did this morning. And I think I want to include it on my team when I play through the game properly. That one didn't put up much of a fight because we did out-level it by like 16 levels. So not dangerous, just introduces you to combat, wild combat. Anyway, I think maybe this is the part where I was sneaking, or trying to sneak. So sneaking was a mechanic in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire that I really liked. It let you sneak up on Pokemon that were visible on the overworld. And you can move slowly, and I don't know, it just made movement feel a lot more organic. Now you can't do that, which is unfortunate, and it means that the Dex Nav functionality that was so great in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire is probably not really a thing anymore, which sucks, because that was great. That was a great mechanic. Not sure what's up with this patch. I like the grass actually a lot in this game. It's a small thing to notice, but I really pay attention to what grass looks like in Pokemon games. Heart Gold Soul Silver had some amazing grass, haters gonna hate, but this is some excellent grass as well. You've even got little smaller tufts of grass on the outer edges. Overall, I think this area does a really good job of selling how natural they can make a lot of these areas look. They've got a nice, smooth coastline. They've got, okay, literally the best short ledge, hoppable ledge I have seen. This was something I really noticed when I was playing through, and I was like, it's so weird that I'm noticing this, but this is a fantastic ledge. This is the first ledge that I really believe the geology of, that I really believe the elevation of. don't know, it's just a fantastic ledge. I don't know. I think it's great. Anyway, here's a trainer. I was reading a preview by someone who's got an early copy of the game, and they were talking about how there are some new ways to, like, alert trainers, and I was seeing if I could do that by, like, running behind him and seeing if he noticed, but nothing really happened there, so I don't know. Gonna have to investigate that a little bit more. Anywho, this kid has a RockRough. RockRough is, it's an early route rock type, actually. It's a little non-conventional, and it does have a split evolution. I think its evolution, like in Rock, has 2 different forms depending on which version it's evolved in. I think that's what's going on. I'm not sure. I'm sure the data miners already know, but I don't. Anyway, RockRough, not too tough when you've got a super effective water shuriken on your side. Anyway, into here, this is the actual trial site, and actually introduces another new mechanic for the game that I can complain at length about. Oh man, he's even holding the right number of fingers up. That's fantastic. So this is a photography mechanic. It's a mini game, I think, is the only way I can explain it at this point. I was hoping it wouldn't be a mini game, but it's a mini game, I'm pretty sure. We'll explain how it works in just a bit once he's lent us his Pikachu. Thanks. Yeah, there's only room for one Pikachu in my life. I love you, Walter. So we are looking for Jangmo-o and Hakao. I think those are the names of the Pokemon. And so when this photography mechanic was first unveiled, I thought, oh cool, I'll be able to take photos of things in the game whenever I want. No. So the Poke Finder is not a key item that you register and pull out whenever you want. Instead, you will find a specific location that has a Pokemon in it, and you press A, and then it'll ask you if you want to use the Poke Finder. So it's really just very instanced, cut off opportunities to use the camera rather than something that's organically blended into the gameplay. The gold standard for me, as someone who doesn't play a lot of photography games, the gold standard for me is Wind Waker HD, which allows you to pull out the pictograph box at any time and take a photo of enemies, take a photo of NPCs, take a photo of a boss. As long as it's not a cutscene, you can take a photo, and it has a selfie mode. And honestly, if you ask me, every single game should have a selfie mode. Dark Souls should have a selfie mode. Literally, Tetris should have a selfie mode. Honestly, if I were in charge of the next Tetris version, it would have a selfie mode. But so, the pictograph box in Wind Waker HD is really, really flexible, and you can use it in a lot of places and have a lot of fun with it. Here, you talk to a hole in the wall, and you get the opportunity to take a photo of that particular Pokemon. And it's really disappointing. And I shouldn't be disappointed, because, frankly, I've been disappointed by Game Freak so many times, I shouldn't have any more disappointment points to pay out. I don't know where I was going with that verbalization. I shouldn't expect things. I shouldn't expect good things from Game Freak, is what I'm saying, but I did. I got my hopes up. And to their benefit, in designing it as a minigame, they do have the opportunity to make it into a slight challenge. So like this Jangmo-O was walking, and the next Pokemon that we encounter, a Hakama-O, will be walking faster. And I think one of the trailers had a Dragonite or something that was flying around. So getting something directly in the center of the frame isn't trivial. It does take some effort, and that's the advantage of having very specific moments where you use it. But I'd much rather have a selfie mode. And I mean, okay, obviously, I mean, it would be highly unreasonable for them to implement a totally dynamic camera mechanic with the Poke Finder when you can't even manipulate the camera in regular overworld play. But I still want it. I mean, I want a fully manipulatable camera in overworld play as well, but I still want the Poke Finder to be, like, super flexible and robust. This is something I care really passionately about, and I might boot up Wind Waker HD after this and play around with the camera just because it's fun. Anyway, yeah, you saw that Hakama-O was moving pretty quickly. I didn't really get it perfectly in the center, but we'll roll with it. I haven't talked at all about Jangmo-O or Hakama-O. They are dragon types in the same evolutionary line. Their full evolutionary line was unveiled in a trailer pretty recently. Starts off as a pure dragon when it's a Jangmo-O, and then it evolves into Hakama-O and gains the fighting type, and then there is one final stage that I cannot remember the name of, but I think it's pretty decent. Oh, by the way, stat changes are now instantly viewable on the bottom screen. Just to talk about mechanics that are in the game for a little bit here. So because Hakama-O has gained the fighting type, Aerial Ace is now super effective, which makes it even more vulnerable to my power. Alright, that is 3 of the 4 down, and the 4th is outside through that opening. That is a precarious looking place. It got spikes and everything. Alright, so I actually like this area a lot too. I don't know if it's like the crater of a long dead volcano or something, but it looks very nice. It looks very much like an arena where you would face an enemy. So way off there is another Hakama-O. Oh, also, I failed to point it. I did notice it when I was playing, but I failed to point it out in the commentary, and it's too late now. The Poke Finder did say version 1 on the bottom screen when we were taking the photo. I'm wondering if it gets some more capabilities later on. Anyway, this is a Totem Hakama-O. So Totem Pokemon, I don't know all the intricacies yet, but they're basically boss Pokemon. They get a stat boost at the beginning of the battle, like this one did here. And they also, as you'll see at the end of this turn, I think, they have the ability to summon allies. So this Jangmo-O, or Hakama-O, summons a RockRough. And it can do that in addition to using a regular move. So I'm thinking the best strategy to deal with a totem Pokemon is probably to eliminate it as quickly as possible, and if it does summon allies, eliminate it as quickly as possible so it will stop summoning allies. Also, the bottom screen, I don't know if I mentioned this in recording because I've done this episode 3 times. The bottom screen does indicate type effectiveness now. Once you've dealt damage to a Pokemon, the computer kind of will run some simulations and basically knows what the typing is, and will tell you oh hey, you can do super effective on this Pokemon, and if there are multiple Pokemon on the field, it will tell you individually once you go into the enemy select. Which is a nice little concession, so you don't have to memorize all the typing of all the Pokemon if you're one of those, you know, losers who's only entering the Pokemon series for 7th gen. Anyway, this RockRough's frickin' done. Has no hope. Oh! Frickin' Ash Greninja! That totally happened while I was talking about other things. So, once you defeat a Pokemon using this Greninja that has Battle Bond, it will become Ash Greninja, and Water Shuriken will be more powerful. Ash Greninja comes from the anime, where they wanted Ash to have a Mega Pokemon, but didn't want to give him a Mega Pokemon. So they gave Greninja a totally not Mega form. Never mind, he had Charizard. And a Glalie. And once Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire came out, his Sceptile would have done fine. Maybe other Pokemon I'm forgetting too. Whatever. So, for succeeding in this trial, Professor Shirtless gives us the Z Ring and a Z Crystal, which is one more new mechanic that that Sun and Moon adds, kind of as a sequel of sorts to Mega Evolution. It doesn't Mega Evolve Pokemon, but it allows you to use a super powerful move once per battle, just like Mega Evolution, and has a ring around your wrist and a special gem, just like Mega Evolution. Anyway, one thing I did like about Hao here, he's totally nonchalant about the fact that he accidentally brought some gang members to meet with the professor and his friend. He's like, oh, whoops, totally did that. Oh, my bad. Anyway, this is Plumeria. She's an admin, and she also has been wearing sunglasses or goggles or something because her tan lines are way whack off the heezy. Keep dancing. Dance for my amusement. So she is the true final boss of the demo. And she's basically an opportunity for you to try out using Z power. And the professor frames it like, oh, do you want to use Water Shuriken? You want to use your Greninja, or do you want to use Pikachu? But the game automatically shifts Pikachu into the front slot of your party. And Plumeria here has a Golbat, which is weak to Electric-type moves. So it's really encouraging you to try out the Z move. I mean, that's fine. It's a demo. It's showing off mechanics. I have no problem with them doing that. Anyway, so this Pikachu, with its power combined with the Electrium Z and our Z Ring, has the ability to use a special Electric-type Z move once per battle. As you can see on the left, there's Z power, and that's how you activate it. So, important thing here. When you activate a Z power, your character does a pose, and I think it's unique to the Z power. In order to make it work, you actually have to pose in real life as well. That is programmed into the game. If you don't pose, it won't work. And don't try to tell me otherwise, because you definitely do have to pose every single time. So this Gigavolt Havoc, I don't know how strong it is, but it freaking one-shots the Golbat. I'll be curious to see what the numbers are on how strong Z moves are, because if you can only use them once per battle, that they better be goddamn worth it. Alright, and that wraps up the final battle of the demo, except for the part after this. that isn't part of the demo proper, which we'll be doing in the next episode. Because this is an episodic series now, I guess. But yeah, once you've wrapped that up, everybody says, congratulations, you are the hero. I'll be taking my Pikachu back now. And yeah, once you have completed this, you will be able to transfer that Greninja over to your main save file of your Sun and Moon game once that's out. And that wraps up the Sun and Moon demo, except for the part that we haven't done yet, the demo post-game, as it were. So stay tuned for that, and thanks for watching. I'll see y'all next time.